let me welcome you to my channel. Before we begin the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this post. Just a few weeks ago, during an episode of SmackDown, Paul Heyman took to social media to slam Roman Reigns. Chief of the Tribe was subjected to. Featured presenters include Solo Sikoa and, in the midst of the downpour, Mon has faithfully supported the guy he was still, confirms his position as head of the tribe. SEO was announced after WrestleMania XL. Independently, as a new tribal, Mon, on the other hand, declined to recognize the man who was 31 years old and slammed onto the table of announcer. The Instagram story of Heyman Rez included. The footage shows him and Reign talking on pause for reverence after the outpost. The Hall of Fame's storied reign came to a closing. The sender of the communication was famous. The fact that, thrown at the SummerSlam main event, the event that marked Reigns' comeback to WWE, first occasion after the Cody wins the WWE Championship without a doubt. Methods of following the loss of his championship fight in the face of the American Nightmare Rainstorm, focused on the AAA, but has failed to, not being able to get it back from his previous. Jim Cornette, an enforcer, thinks the WWE has to watch Paul Heyman's comeback to secure them. Right now, if you believe Jim Cornette, though, there is no need for a bloodline plot. Dear Paul, Heyman is now focusing on his experience. The reappearance of Heyman was clarified by Cornette. He mentioned as a potential savings. He is absolutely unnecessary at the moment. The best thing is that I'm not, in an attempt to slough off Paul, I am stating, what's wonderful about it is that they are able to rescue it without his help anymore. For as long as they like, at any time, on his way back to SummerSlam, Reigns' ongoing struggle inside the family tree, on the sidelines with Jimmy USO with him, do harm to the ex-undisputed WWE champion. There are no allies for champion on the blue label when facing forth against Solo, Jacob Fatu Tatonga, and fellow Sikoa, Atongaloa. It was no secret that Paul Heyman had a guy who uses carefully selected phrases. The wrestling community has become used to his expressiveness, his skill and stories that had viewers glued to the screen. Perch. But on this specific day, he decided to use a sparse vocabulary of expressions that were unusual for very successful in the wake of Roman rulers' betrayal of their bloodlines, continued to echo over the whole week. Cosmos, a few days before, unforeseen event had transpired. The Roman Empire, tribal chief who was once unstoppable had mercilessly eliminated by the very in his family he had brought to power and prominence. Among Jimmy, JUSO, and Solo Sikoa, leaned on a lowered reeve had departed, astonished admirers who are now doubting everything. They believed they had a good grasp of them. The next days, our family tree, much conjecture as to what had prompted the lineage to betray their commander, the fate of the Roman Empire. Above all else, what happened to Paul Heyman? Keep his head up through it all. Heyman had been very quiet after the terrifying happenings around Hitman. For a guy who got his kicks from being under the microscope, his absence revealed. Over time, WWE fans have become used to seeing Mon beside Roman. His cunning brain is always active, constantly plotting, but currently he had no whereabouts. Noticed a dramatic shift when Paul Heyman tweeted a mysterious message, breaking his quiet. The message was concise and to the point. Neither was there a thorough breakdown of what really happened. The post by Heyman was made only. The 4 words reverberated through. During wrestling's history, company that has not yet loaded the tweet. In a flash, indicating it became viral, as well as analysts started analyzing, attempting to make sense of those 4 words. Had Heyman been their real goal? Lay was involved in planning this treachery. His allegiance remained with the lineage, or maybe he was alluding to a potential new direction. When corporate priorities took precedence, dedication on stage, the ambience was tension among the staff and wrestlers muttered to one another, perplexed. What would Heyman do next? There had been no sign of Usos or solitary Sikoa. declined to participate in any interviews, assertions that were evidently the decision they made, yet the subject persisted. How was Mon included into their strategies? As he continued to heal from the vicious assault, a chief of the tribe who seemed unstoppable at one point, exposed he was said to have been, might be leaving WWE in the near future, making many people feel powerless, keen to satisfy a few hypothesized needs. Heyman, from the start, the opportunist, associating himself with the upcoming phenomena, I am prepared to dump Reigns just as readily in WWE, to the extent that he had previously rejected others, at the same time as WWE fans were departing from a place of doubters have always understood Mon. For example, a skilled manipulator may turn any circumstance in his favor with his benefit. However, his goals this time around were much less clear. Was his intention business as usual, or was he just defending the betrayal, or did it include a darker, more sinister scheme unfolding? As time went on, WWE's tension remained high. Programming turned into a treacherous terrain, assumptions, and with the expectation that Roman Reigns will launch a shocker. Is Heyman going to admit his genuine connections? And how would the lineage influence what comes next? For Han maintained her composure behind the scenes of WWE. His closest friends and family members realized that being silent was strategically. Mon was always one step ahead, and that incident was also typical. The facts, whatever it was that Mon was getting ready for right now for quite some time, though the precipitation seeds were established a few months ago, and now they were finally yielded fruit. Heyman's progress sent a signal that somewhere in this global, on WWE, it was always business as usual. Company loyalty has always been money that may be exchanged for alliances, may be created and destroyed endlessly throughout, in the interest of professional advancement. And Paul, it was clear that Heyman had mastered the game. Nonetheless, Heyman's scheme included more than the WWE Universe was engrossed in. Heyman, the betrayer of the bloodlines, he was already thinking about what to do next. Thing without Roman Reigns, vacant position that has to be filled by someone who has the same relentless drive, whereas Han was intent on pursuing a different customer, an individual capable of continuing to help spearhead WWE's transition to their supremacy. The following week, Heyman started to subtly approach from behind. Where he encountered key is shown in WWE bargaining strategies consistently include anticipating what was to come. He was gnawing on his, patiently awaiting the optimal opportunity to attack during a SmackDown broadcast. At last, Heyman stood up and showed his hand, smack dab in the center of the ring's microphone, before turning to the WWE. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, he started. He spoke in a controlled and soothing manner. Perform is to improve this commercial enterprise. There was a guy named Roman Reigns in the novel's plot. Nonetheless, the books allow me to provide you with the next chapter. The audience was agog with bated breath as Heyman anticipated. Going up to the ramp, the lights went out, and the well-known theme tune resounded across arena. Audience members let out a variety of toasts and cocktails when the new customer came out of the dressing room with ominous person who had been harboring his, patiently awaiting the optimal opportunity to take charge while the new customer strolled. When Heyman's words resounded in the viewers' thoughts were constantly commercial enterprise, reminding us of the harsh reality that in WWE ties were short-lived, and that which was of utmost importance remained victorious when Roman Reigns stepped down onto the screen, setting the scene for a new age of supremacy, someone who could, recognized by Paul Heyman's most recent work.